One of the most remarkable historical figures in Tibetan history is the Empress Dowager Thrimalö. Thrimalö was the only woman to have ever ruled over Tibet. Her reign marks a significant chapter in Tibetan history, demonstrating her political prowess and strategic abilities during a turbulent period of Tibetan history. Thrimalö was the queen consort of the Tibetan Emperor Mangso, who ruled Tibet during the period of expansion and the consolidation of the Tibetan Empire. After the death of Emperor Mangso in 676 CE, Thrimalö found herself in a unique position. Her son, Tidu was too young to assume the throne, leaving the Tibetan Empire in a vulnerable state. Thrimalö assumed the regency of the Tibetan Empire twice, in 676 and 704 respectively. Both periods of considerable political instability in Tibet. As the Empress Dowager, Thrimalö effectively governed Tibet, handling both internal affairs and external affairs with significant skill. Her tenure as the regent is notable for a few key accomplishments. During the reign of Thrimalö's husband, the Emperor Mangso, the notorious Tibetan Gar clan was in control of most of Tibet's imperial affairs, the emperor being largely just a figurehead. Tidu, as we said earlier, at the time of his father's death was too young to rule, and likewise was regarded as an emperor in name only, as the Gar were the actual rulers of civil and military affairs in Tibet. With Tidu maturing into adulthood, Thrimalö helped arrange the overthrow of the Gar clan, while Gar Tiding, a military general, was returning from a Tibetan imperial victory against the Chinese. Tidu and his army attacked and defeated Gar and his supporters. Many supporters of Gar were executed, while others managed to find refuge in China. Thrimalö represented the empire during the times when Tidu was in battle. When Tidu died in 704, Thrimalö continued to involve herself in Tibetan imperial affairs, acting as regent. Tidu had two sons. The older son, Hlabepo, was deposed by Thrimalö for reasons that are heavily speculated, but it was most likely because he was mentally unfit to rule. The younger son, who would later be enthroned as Chidetsukse, was 1 year old at the time, therefore too young to rule. And so Thrimalö continued to fill the power vacuum, communicating with nearby Tang Dynasty China and ultimately arranging the marriage between the Tang Dynasty Chinese princess Qincheng Gongzhu, also known as Kimshang Kongzhou in Tibetan, and her grandson Chidetsukse, who would later be known after he became emperor of the Tibetan Empire as Me Aktsum, who would go on to accomplish many impressive feats as emperor of the Tibetan Empire. Thrimalö also played a crucial role in promoting Buddhism across the Tibetan Empire. Buddhism had only recently become the dominant religion on the Tibetan plateau, spreading during the reign of the famous Tibetan emperor Songtsen Gampo, who was the grandfather of Thrimalö's husband, Mangso. Thrimalö herself was a devout Buddhist and used her position to further the influence of Buddhism, which was gradually spreading across the plateau. Her efforts helped lay the foundation for the later flourishing of Buddhism in Tibet under subsequent rulers. Thrimalö's first regency was from 675 to 689 CE, and then she ruled for a second regency from 704 to 712, the year of her death. So altogether, Thrimalö, she ruled for nearly the same length of time as her husband, Mangso Mangsen, who ruled Tibet for 21 years from 655 to 676 CE, Thrimalö ruled for nearly 22 years. As the only woman in Tibet to hold such a position of power, she demonstrated remarkable leadership and governance capabilities during a period marked by potential chaos and fragmentation in the empire. Her legacy is one of resilience, political strategy, and devotion to the spiritual and cultural enrichment of her people. Despite the challenges she faced, Thrimalö's reign was instrumental in preserving the stability and integrity of the Tibetan Empire, securing her place in history as Tibet's only female ruler. Thank you all so much for tuning back into Eclectic Explorations. I appreciate everyone's support. I don't care how you manifest it. I just humbly request that you continue to do so. Thank you.